Hey guys, I'm back, and today we're going to talk about Cyclops. As per request, I'm going to put those two comments up on the screen somewhere. Love it when you guys leave comments. I smile a little when I respond to the comments. If I haven't responded to yours yet, I will. But feel free to request characters down below. I even pulled out, look at this Cyclops keychain I have. So that's how excited I am about Cyclops. I actually really do like Cyclops in Marvel Strike Force. I think probably he was requested some. Well, first off, X-Men 97 came out not too long ago, and that made Cyclops cool for like perhaps the first time ever. I'd like to say I always like Cyclops, but like, you know, even I like how he looks, but even I was like, man, this guy's kind of lame. Like, he doesn't do anything. Like, he just whines all the time. But finally he's cool again, so I think that's part of it. And I think also he's just really well designed in Marvel Strike Force. So I will say, first off, this is not my preferred costume for Cyclops. You might be like, well, Isaac, why do you have it equipped then? Good question. I prefer this look for Cyclops. I'm really glad they use this as the default look for Sim. I really love this design. Why I'm using this other one is because it recently got reworked to the Extreme X-Men, and I view the Extreme X-Men as it's like a character arc for Cyclops. You know, he's not the, you know, fun-looking leader. Like, now he's on a serious team going on missions, and he has his hair covered now, and he's like not as colorful. So that's why I have this skin on him nowadays. But I do prefer his default look. He's actually been a part of two main teams, honestly. When he first came out, a long time ago, he was a part of this Uncanny X-Men team. This Uncanny X-Men team is so old. It actually got like, I mean, it depends on what you want. I'd say officially like two big versions. When it originally came out, you know, we were probably talking something like, if I remember correctly, Cyclops, Phoenix, Beast, Wolverine, and Storm. And actually, this team was kind of cool. Phoenix was like the best character in the game, so this team was one of the best teams in the game. Beast, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Storm were kind of bad. Beast got at least reworked for the raid team, so he was good there. Cyclops is good nowadays. Wolverine's been a part of a couple teams. Storm has a cool kit. I want to review her someday, but she's never been good in this game, which is unfortunate because she has a really cool kit. And I even have her costume. Like, I love this look for Storm way more than the Mohawk look, and so I even bought the costume, but she's not that good, so I don't use her that frequently. But I digress. Anyways, one thing that was really cool about this team is Phoenix, Cyclops, and Wolverine, like, they kind of captured that love triangle. They each mention each other in their own kits. It was really cool. I thought it's one of the more clever thematic points in Marvel Strike Force. I'm glad that still exists in their kit. I think it's unfortunate we don't get to see that in play anymore because Wolverine got reworked for, what was it, the Weapon X team, and now he's going to join the Alpha Flight team, and Cyclops is busy in raids. So, you know, they don't necessarily get to work together anymore, but this was kind of cool. And then this team got a slight rework with Magic. This was the big force behind the rework, where Magic could actually play with Phoenix a little bit. She gave Phoenix a big buff, kind of gave this team a little bit of a second life, although I'll be honest, I didn't really play when Magic got added to this game, so I wasn't there for that. But my impression is Magic gave this team a bit of a second life. The other big team Cyclops is on is the team he's on right now, the Extreme X-Men. And this team's awesome. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this team is a raid team. I love raid teams. I think they're really fun because raid teams have to be really good because the raids are crazy, so the team has to be quite competent in order to survive raids. And recently the raid teams have actually been good enough that they're good outside of raids. Like, the Extreme X-Men does well, just generally speaking, and Cyclops he's arguably the weakest member of the team. Like, recently with Old Man Logan, they're like, you could cut Cyclops and put Old Man Logan in there instead. Personally, I like Cyclops in there more than Old Man Logan. Nightcrawler is really the highlight of this team. Sunspot and Forge provide excellent support. Gambit's just like, he's pretty good. Gambit's pretty good. He's a cool character. Cyclops, he has a big burst attack, but otherwise he kind of just sits there. He's probably the weakest link in the team, but I do not think he is a weak character per se. So let's take a look at his kit though. So we're actually going to start with his ultimate today because I think this is important to see where these charges get used. So you're going to see charge come up in his passive, but let's talk about how we use those charges before we talk about how you get those charges, because I think that's more interesting. And this ultimate is like this is his big move, and I really love this move. I think this is awesome. I think this is just super duper well designed. He uses all of his charges. He shoots out a big, it's like the iconic Cyclops moment where he takes off the glasses, whole screen goes red. He shoots the entire enemy team. It's so cool. He clears revive once, so that's actually some really useful utility here that not a lot of characters have. He's applying slow, and then this is so cool. His damage is increased by 25% per charge, and Cyclops can get like 20 to 40 charges. So Like this does a ton of damage. This is so cool. And it's really interesting because it's not just like flat out damage. Like you have to ramp up to that damage with Cyclops skit. So there's an extra level of like awesome to this where you're like, I did that. Like I ramped up Cyclops to this level where he just annihilated the entire enemy team. It is so cool. This ultimate is incredible. I love it a ton. There's no need to change anything here. Like this is great. This is perfect right here. They absolutely nailed this ultimate. So let's back up a little bit to the passive. How is he getting those charges? Essentially, anytime him or an X-Men take a turn, he gets some charges. So by default, he can get 20 charges when he's with any X-Men. And this is one of the things I don't like about him. For his ultimate to be the best it can be, it's only on raids and when he's with Extreme X-Men, because when he's in raids, he can get up to 40 charges. So any other point in the game, it's only 20, which kind of limits how awesome his ultimate can be, which I think is it's unfortunate. That's probably this is right here is my biggest complaint as kid. I would say take out this raid exclusive Extreme X-Men stuff and just make it X-Men and allow him to get to 40 charges all the time, because it is so awesome when it gets to 40 charges. And 20 charges is cool, but like Cyclops isn't good enough for like 20 charges to really cut it. So if we could do 40 charges all the time and he was getting all those charged just by default with X-Men, and there's no specific bonus for Extreme X-Men, but every X-Men was as viable, I think Cyclops would be pretty much perfectly designed. So that's like my big complaint right here. But it doesn't ruin the character. And what's also really cool is when he gets to 20 charges, he gains ability energy, so then he can reach that ultimate. This is kind of cool when somebody attacks Phoenix or Dark Phoenix, and then Extreme X-Men. I wish it was just X-Men. He gets to attack that enemy, so he gets mad if they're hitting Phoenix, which is really cool. When X-Men die, he's gaining offense up, and this is cool. This is some of that synergy with Wolverine. So I really like this where he gives Wolverine, and you can see this is the history of the rework. So Wolverine got the speed bar filled, then Wolverine got moved to the Weapon X, so then they added magic to the team, so now he boosts magic speed bar, and then nowadays he's with the Extreme X-Men, so he boosts Forge's speed bar. So I think this is really cool. I think it's like very thematic. He's the leader of the team. He's encouraging people to move whenever somebody gets damaged, and he's giving some focus. I like Cyclops' passive a lot. I think this is really good. Anytime it says Extreme X-Men, I just wish this said normal X-Men. I think that would be my only complaint here. Basic attack, I think this is a good basic attack. Perhaps you could consider this a little boring, but like I think it's fine. Like this is a basic attack's meant to be kind of like basic. So he's attacking somebody, he's applying defense down, which is good. You know, he's working with the team, he's weakening somebody for the team to take advantage of, and then he's slowing them. So he's always gonna have X-Men allies. I love that this is X-Men allies right here. This is great. Love this stuff right here. Basic, you know, wonderful stuff right here. I think it's special, also really good. Something that's interesting about this is he applies taunt, and in some circumstances that's considered a negative. And when he's with the Extreme X-Men in raids, the enemies cannot gain taunt, so the Extreme X-Men kind of actually remove this negative effect from the special, which I actually somewhat dislike. I like the fact that this applies taunt, because yes, it is not always good, but like that's the point of the skill, you know. Like I think it is cool that this skill can be good, but then it's also like if you misuse it, there's a downside. So I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. It makes sense for Extreme X-Men. Too many variables. They want them to clear the raids, so the Extreme X-Men don't let the enemies gain taunt. So you don't have to worry about Cyclops applying taunt to some random person in raids. So, you know, I get it, but I like by default that it does apply taunts. I don't want to get rid of that in this. I like the fact that you have to say, hey, wait a second. Like, should I use the special right now? Like, I think that's really engaging. I think that's really interesting. But I think we get to see his leadership come through here. He's going to apply taunt to some people. He's going to call his team to attack them, and then he's going to attack them. And he's applying defense up and regeneration. And then he's also applying defense up and deflect to the Extreme X-Men allies. So again, Extreme X-Men allies, I wish this was just for all X-Men allies. And then in raids, he's going to barrier people. I wish it was just by default, he's barriering people. So I really like this. I think this is his leadership right here. Like he is calling out the weakest people on the enemy team. He's saying like, let's go get them. The team attacks them, and then he kind of helps his team out a little bit. I love this special. I think this is so well designed. My only complaint, like the passive, is I wish these Extreme X-Men and raids were just by default, and then I think his kit would be pretty much perfect. But if we skip ahead, I like Cyclops' kit a lot. I think he is very compelling, and I like his ultimate's awesome. Like everyone loves using his ultimate. Is just like such a fun skill to use, and I like how clear his kit is. Like there's a very obvious path you're supposed to take. Like I think some characters' kits are just like so complicated that you're like which skill do I use this turn? Like let's be honest. Like when you're using Penny Parker and your turn comes up, like you're like, I guess I'll use my ultimate, like I guess I'll use my special, like use whatever the best ability is I have available right now. You know, Cyclops, there's very much this clear, like, like should I use my special right now? Like, who am I gonna apply taunt to? Like, would that be useful for the team? Or it's like, like should I apply my ultimate? How many charges do I have? You know, would it be useful right now, or should I wait for another round to go by? I really like that. There's a very clear vision to Cyclops' kit. I think they absolutely nailed his design. My only complaints are the X-Men teams. I can't stand the X-Men teams. I hate that they have the specific X-Men teams. We're going to talk about this right here in the future. I do not like Astonishing, Extreme, Uncanny, and Unlimited. It's probably, I say this about all the specific teams, but this is probably like the worst specific team they have in the game. The fact that like Cyclops is like, man, love Nightcrawler, Gambit, Fortune, Sunspot. You know, Cyclops though, he hates Iceman. Does not work with Iceman. You know, obviously Cyclops does not work with Iceman. Don't you follow the lore? I just think this, and I think all the X-Men characters are decent. They're all good in Marvel Strike Force. So if they could all interact with each other, I don't think they would be like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Like the X-Men are just defeating every single team. Like, no, I don't think the X-Men are that good. Like if you let them all work with each other, it would make the teams more capable, but I don't think it would be meta defining or anything like that. And I think of all teams in this game, like the X-Men are like, we are the like we're family, like we're working together. I really wish they did not cut the X-Men into like this 5 team, this 5 team, this 5 team, this 5 team. I think it's one of the most disappointing moments of team limitation within Marvel Strike Force. I'm optimistic this will get removed someday because they have slowly been increasing the viability with his teams. You know, just recently the X-Men team got a bit of a tweak with Phoenix and Colossus, I think, getting some slight changes. It was nothing crazy. I think people were kind of disappointed. I think they wanted like something on the level of the Superior 6 and the Sinister 6. So I really would just like it if we got rid of this Astonishing, Extreme, Uncanny, Unlimited tag and we just had X-Men by default. I think if we did that, like across the board, 40 characters in Marvel Strike Force become awesome, like super well designed, super engaging, like just so interesting. I think if Marvel Strike Force is really scared, like, oh my gosh, we can't have that many X-Men working together, like how will we balance that? Which, who cares? I think it'd be fine. You could do a blue and gold. You know, if you want to split them into the blue half and the gold half, I would be satisfied with that. I would be like, okay, for balance reasons, you know, like, oh, like maybe we don't want Rogue and, you know, Nightcrawler on the same team. Like, well, maybe that's just too good. So we're going to put Nightcrawler on blue and Rogue on gold or something like that. Like, I would settle for that. I think that's at least a thematic way from them to work around this idea of them separating the X-Men team, because they're like, oh, like we're 2 different strike teams right here. Like we are separate entities almost, like they did in X-Men 97. Like they did the blue and the gold team in there. So I'm just saying there is, I think it would make much more thematic sense than being like, these 5, they're astonishing. These 5, they're uncanny. These 5, it's unlimited what they can do. So it's like, doesn't make any sense. I can't. And I'd also make his raid stuff base kit. I think that would be cool. I don't think Cyclops is designed for arena. Like he's really meant to kind of ramp up over the course of a match to his ultimate. He doesn't do well in these short bursts, so it's okay that this raid stuff is not base kit, because I do not think it would necessarily change his viability too much outside of raid. But I think just for clarity, and I just in general by baseline, I would prefer most things in people's kit to just be default and not exclusive to specific modes. So that's Cyclops. I love his character in this game. I think he's incredibly well designed. A couple of misses with the Extreme X-Men and the Uncanny X-Men tag, but really easy fix. And I think with Professor X around the corner, he's probably like 9 months off still. But oh my gosh, if Professor X released, and then they're like, and when Professor X comes out, all the X-Men now just use X-Men tags. They can all work together and like X-Men rule. Like they are sitting on a gold mine right there. If they were like, Professor X comes to the game, and you know all the mutants in Marvel Strike Force, like lore wise, they do not remember who Professor X is right now. So you could be like, lore wise, they're not working together because they don't have Professor X there. Like they do not remember the fact that they all should be on a team together. And they're like, no, like we're 5-person teams. Like that's how we roll. And Professor X is like, what are you guys talking about? Like you're the X-Men. You're all supposed to work together. And they're like, oh my gosh, we remember. And then they get rid of the Uncanny, Extreme, Astonishing, all that tags. All the X-Men work together. Professor X is awesome. The X-Men are awesome. life would be good. I'm just saying, like, they are literally sitting, and it's take no development time to just make everything base X-Men, and they could advertise that so hard and everyone would get so excited. I said it would be so cool. We're so close to like perfection with Cyclops, but even if we never get there, Cyclops is still pretty good, and I'm satisfied with what they did with him. If you have any other characters you'd like me to review, make sure to leave a comment down below, because Cyclops was a comment, and you know, I like Cyclops, but I don't think he was not on my queue internally to review. So if you have anyone you'd like me to review, feel free to give a comment down below, like, subscribe. I think that makes the button glow. So let me know if you saw the button glow when it does that. That's the only reason why I'm asking. I just want to see if I can make the button glow. I don't know if it's just that simple to say the word subscribe, or you have to do something specific. Anyways, at the end of the day, what do I really know? Because I am just a 22-year-old. You guys all have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.